Hi everyone. I hope it's okay if I speak in English for the next few minutes. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mirusaine Ramrajah. You may know my dad, Ramraj, who is sat at the back over there. He's most well known for running a radio station for the last 2 decades called TBC. But he's also known for advocating for equal rights, for standing up for what he believes in, and for empowering others to do the same, which is probably why I am where I am now. And it was through him that I met Sachi Uncle, and I embarked on this journey that I want to share a little bit with you guys today. So when I was 16, 10 years ago, I fundraised with my school friends for the Wings of Hope charity, which helped underprivileged children in India and Malawi. We raised money through a series of different events. We baked cakes, we did a sponsored swim, we even put together a recipe book of all our mum's favorite recipes and sold them. It was the first time that I learned about underprivileged children and how they didn't even have access to education. And I asked myself at that point, how was education treated as a luxury that only the rich could afford? Why did the amount of money that you have determine whether you even had an education? And then in 2017, I taught and observed at Ramanathan College in Jaffna. I was there for about 2 weeks, and I had the opportunity to sit in on some lessons, but also to teach some English lessons. And it was the first time that I was in a school in Sri Lanka, so I was quite shocked at how different things were. And it was pretty surreal to be, in a school, something similar to what my mum would have attended in her youth. And my eyes were completely open to a different education system. It was nothing like what I was used to. The teachers, well, there wasn't enough of them. There wasn't enough books. And the infrastructure was basic, to say the very least. I met loads of different girls during those 2 weeks that were very similar in age to me, but were completely different in their mindsets. Their hopes and their dreams were completely different. Their hopes were suppressed by the lack of opportunities that they had. And most of these girls were talking about chores that they had back home. They had to go home to cook dinner, they had to clean their houses, and I think they were very aware that their lives centered on getting married. Their minds were not focused on studying, and that's for sure. They weren't thinking about the future, they weren't thinking about their education, and they weren't thinking about themselves. It was all about serving others. And I asked myself then, why couldn't they see that educating themselves would let them better serve their families? Although I was shocked by a lot during that trip, the thing that shocked me the most was the mindset of these girls. And then most recently, this year, I went back to Sri Lanka with my family, and I visited a school in the Dotala estate in the hill country. The community was so welcoming and grateful for the work that we were doing as part of an organization called Women Empowerment, and I left with a real strong determination to help these children. They were so eager to become doctors and lawyers and teachers, and yet at the ages of somewhere between 5 and 15, they were very acutely aware of the obstacles that lay ahead of them just for being from the tea estate. Hope wasn't completely lost. We did hear about a boy, the first from that particular tea estate, to work hard, who stayed motivated, and he had successfully entered university in Colombo. So there was hope. And I asked myself at that point, how much can motivation really drive and change your future? So there were 3 things there, right? Money, mindset, and motivation. And I'm going to come back to these in a little bit, but I want to say something else quickly first. Every time I've traveled to Sri Lanka, I've always felt a strong connection with the people that I've met there, whether it's the young primary school children or the parents themselves. And since I started learning about the lack of opportunities through forums like this and through speaking to Sachi Uncle and my own family and my parents, I've realized that we're the lucky ones, right? I guess it's a sense of survivor's guilt, say, right? We're lucky, we're here, we're not particularly living in wealth, many of us may work multiple jobs, but we have an education. which ultimately leads to ample career opportunities and the opportunity to build a better life for ourselves and for our families. Now, let's go back to those three themes, so money, mindset, and motivation. And we can look to these to identify what we as Tamil expats can do to better our country. Money, well, I think you know what I'm going to say. It's simple, isn't it? Donate. And however small or large, it goes a huge way towards sponsoring these students and their education. And by money, I don't just mean cash. If you've heard the phrase, time is money, you'll know what I mean when I say donate your time. Take time out of your week to attend forums and groups and work with these groups to progress the situation in Sri Lanka. Secondly, mindset. From what I've seen amongst the children in Sri Lanka and based on the research that's very widely available, it all starts with the mindset that's crystallized in preschool students. Giving them the hope as well as the right tools and resources, so books and infrastructure and teachers, is what will set them in good stead for a successful future. And finally, motivation. Find the motivation to get involved. First, research the situation, understand what the situation in Sri Lanka is and what the situation with the education system is, and then go forth and teach people. Speak to your kids, speak to your grandkids, speak to your family, speak to your parents, speak to everyone about it, and don't stop talking. The work that charities like the EDC are doing is so pivotal to helping the situation in Sri Lanka and to help the future of our people and our country. And if you're able to, something that I would very highly recommend is to visit a school next time you're in Sri Lanka. Every time I've visited a school, I've learned something new from speaking to the children and the parents and the teachers. It's a very eye-opening experience. It's a very humbling experience. And it's something that I definitely recommend everyone to do at some point in their lives. The role of Tamil expats is to preserve our culture and our identity. And how, you might ask? By giving the children, the future of our country, a strong and stable education. So please get involved in some way possible. Thank you very much for listening to me.